what really determines the sound you get from your instrument and from your amp? What's the biggest determining factor? I'm just going to assume that you have a great amp, right? Like a good amp. I recently shifted to the Boss Katana in 2 different versions. I got the head and the cab, and I got the small, whatever it is, 100 watt something. And I must say, I also have 2 Mesa Boogies, and I must say, I'm sorry, Mesa Boogie, I'm sorry, Valve amp. You know, technology eventually wins through, and these amps, the Katana is just freaking crazy. It's just, and then you get 60 effects built into it. So the days where you had amps and if they had effects built into them, they would sound, you know, bad because it was a practice amp. This is both a practice amp, but you know, do a blind test, I promise you. So why am I sitting with this guitar with no strings on it? Because I used to have, you know, years ago, I decided to finally figure out what pickups to use in order to get the right sound. This has, I don't even remember, this is DiMarzio pickups, this is the original Squier pickup. But then I simply started to, I bought cheap Squiers, this is a Squier Deluxe. I never played it because this is just at the end of my project. I scalloped it, but I didn't put the varnish on, so it's completely naked. And you can see how old it is because, you know, the scratch plate is all yellow. This used to be bright white. So this is how it looks, but it has no scratches because it's actually completely new. But I'm looking forward to putting some but I don't, you know, I don't want these single coils on it. I want the red velvet in the bridge. In the neck, and I want the DiMarzio Chopper, the red velvet from DiMarzio, which is the most aggressive single coil pickup I ever heard. It's also quite bright, which we need up here, I think, you know. And then the DiMarzio Chopper, which is a single coil format, and it has so much high end that it's really balanced with the low end and the more muddy like sound from the neck pickup. But my conclusion was at that time that what influences your sound more than anything else, and we're talking woods also, different types of guitars, is the darn pickups. You know how much difference there is to a humbucker pickup with 2 single coils actually built together that cancels each other, and then a single coil like this. It's an immense difference. But also, once you start testing pickups, which is cumbersome, which is expensive, because, and the Strat is great for that, but you take off the scratch plate, and I got really good at, you know, the wiring and all of that in the process. I also changed these pots because they also mean something. You don't want a volume pot or a tone pot with too much resistance, so you want the expensive ones, and that's a little. It doesn't cost much. But I changed those, more sound can come through, and then the pickups, the way they sound is just incredible difference. It's way more than the amp, basically, in my experience. And I don't want to go into a lot of discussion because I really don't know enough about these things. I'm just talking about my own experience, right? So I changed the pickups, and then it wasn't quite the sound I wanted. And then I bought some new. I sold the existing pickups, almost new pickups, right? In the yellow pages, or what do you call it, you know, whatever used market you have, eBay, right? I sold the pickups again and bought some new and placed them in, and bought some new and placed them in, and back and forth until I had the sound I wanted, and that was the Chopper in the bridge and the red velvet in the. So that's what came out of that. And I really urge you, I recommend that if you're interested in the sound of your guitar, study first of all, because there's one thing trumping those pickups is that how you pick the string, how you play is more important than anything else. You can see I've been following Paul Gilbert for like decades, right? And every time he says, "Hey, I found a new pick, and I got new pickups, or I did this to the instrument, or I shifted from the traditional shape to this shape," and he still sounds the same way. You can always hear it's him. There might be a slight change in tone, but the way he works the string with little pinches and and does what he does, it's just, sorry, you still sound like Paul Gilbert, right? So that's important. And then the pickups, in my perspective, are immensely important. So yeah, we can always talk about the scallop. I do that in other videos. I'm really happy about this. Can't wait to get strings on it one day and play it. So those were the words. Looking forward to seeing you in another video here on the channel or in the things popping up on the screen here.